So let me introduce. I'm Karthikeya Kumar, working as a senior HR manager and head of L&D with K3 Consultants in Hyderabad. And I've been working since 16 years. In this 16 years, almost 12 years is into training also. Parallelly, I've started working as a trainer, but majority of my profession has been into HR and technologies. So presently, I'm working as a cyber forensic expert in terms of technology, and artificial intelligence is my other area where we are doing certain research activities now. We have a small team where we developed our own robots and drones. I have a team for it where we keep discussing on a daily basis and we keep working. So till now we came out with almost 15 different types of drones which can carry up to 45 kgs of weight and can fly up to 6 kilometers height. 5 to 6 kilometers is the maximum height they can fly. So this is something in brief. And I was there with major corporates in the past, like with Genpact and ADP as a consultant, Dell as a consultant, and then with Countrywide Financial, which is presently called as a Bank of America after merging. So even with them, I was a consultant. So almost there were about 7, 8 corporate companies with whom I worked. So today I wanted to conduct this session because again, let me make it very simple. On an everyday basis, I conduct at least 4 to 6 webinars for different participants. Few go in free, few go in paid, and I know the kind of difference we feel when it comes to a paid session and a free session. When I was trying to actually initiate this discussion, I mean, I was thinking of having a session on artificial intelligence. Even last week we had a overall awareness session with another expert. We both did it, but later part I thought, let me give some information. Let me see how many of us will be ready to pay and take the information. So honestly telling you, out of 186 people, only 10 people came forward. It's not going to make any big money for me here, but I'm going to say very simple that you all respect the value of the knowledge, and if you're paying the money today, that means the kind of respect and the responsibility you have to discuss something, learn, or even making me to learn something from your end is very high. So thanks for that. And now let us go with this discussion. Before I start artificial intelligence and all these things, I would like to brief up something, because when it comes to artificial intelligence these days, I've been interacting with a lot of students. Presently, I have 16 MBA students and 11 engineering students who are doing internships under me. The thing is, they're learning some courses by paying the fee, and post which they're actually doing the internship. So thanks to all of them. Now when I speak about artificial intelligence, there are a lot of areas which we need to primarily focus on. And during the lockdown, this artificial intelligence has come into picture in a bigger sense, in the form of drones, in the form of robots, in the form of many such technologies and software, where usage has become very, very, very simple. I see that we have people in this audience who are doing research, who are students, who are already employed as TPOs. Glad to get connected with all of you. And I'm going to share some of the key information, whatever I have been working till now. I mean, like whatever we have been discussing, whatever we have been working. In fact, we are associated with a couple of companies in Germany and Netherlands with whom we are working as a counterpart in technology development in the format of robots and drones. So I don't say that I have a good team in India, but I have a good team out there in Germany and Netherlands. So we remotely get connected and we keep working. So with this company support, I've been able to do all these things. So now let's go back with the session as usual here. So this would be the session what we would be actually discussing: artificial intelligence. Yes, and this recording is happening, so I'll be sharing the recording with everyone. It will be on the to their respective mail IDs. So this is one quotation I really love to uh, quote every time when I do the session. Everything we love about civilization is a product of intelligence. So amplifying our human intelligence with artificial intelligence has the potential of helping civilization flourish like never before, as long as we manage to keep the technology beneficial. That's a wonderful quote. But one big thing what I observe these days, see, because I'm working with cyber forensic, and we have been looking at different crime rates that have been increasing. We have conducted a lot of cyber crime awareness sessions on cyber security and all of this. Now when I speak about this particular session, when I speak about all this, I should say technology, the advancements in technology are again like a coin which has head and tail. I call it as good and bad. most of the technologies advancements which have come in these days, few of them are using it for good and few of them are using it for bad. Let me give you a small example in terms of ethical hacking. Recently there was an incident where a couple of students, like 3 students, have been caught in a ethical hacking case. When the preliminary investigation has been done on this, what they have found is these students have learned the ethical hacking course in one of the institutes in Hyderabad, at a very low cost. That's a very low cost, and they started keeping ethics away and they started hacking. Now, even in artificial intelligence, there are 3 different types of intelligence I would be discussing with you. What all we know is majorly, many of the people know that okay, it's only artificial intelligence and then deep learning, machine learning, blah 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 blah, etc. It's absolutely fine, and uh, but there is something beyond this artificial intelligence that we should really look into. This session is going to give a brief about what is this artificial intelligence all about, and what sort of good and bad we have advantages kind of, and what sort of career can be made out of it. We have certain set of information which I have gathered and put it across. So this is a overall a general definition we find anywhere: technology that is already impacting how users interact with and are affected by the internet. As I said initially, technology is really helpful. Technology is always good, whether it is artificial intelligence or whether it is a robot or whether it is any technology to that matter. But end of the day, the programming and the coding has been done by a human being. Okay, so there is, yes, there are certain robots which people say that they work with their own senses and technologies, which we have seen in a couple of movies also. But till now, we don't find any such major good number of robots out there in the across the globe or any in any of the countries. But whatever the technology we have developed or designed today, and whatever the technologies that are existing in the market, how many are we really using in a proper sense? Let me give you a small example. There were a lot of news that were running around saying like Zoom is not a security tool. Zoom is not a security tool, and Zoom has been hacked by many people. We have technical people here. We have people from computer science department. We have people from other technologies, and apart from the regular studies. I would like to ask these experts, or rather, I would like to put the point on the table. When we look at the technology protection, whether it's a browser, it's a browser or an application, now my system is completely protected with a lot of antivirus and anti-malware software. I buy only licensed versions. I never go for a cracked or a, you know, any such version which can be hacked easily. So that is how I have designed my own system. Not one, I have 4 at home, 2 laptops and 2 desktops. Everything has a licensed software. Now the reason why I'm going for a licensed software, because the kind of patches I get, the kind of security updates I get are very, very wonderful. Now when I speak about Zoom, Zoom is also having the similar patches. In fact, in the last week, they have come up with the 2 more additional patches, which are really making the security strong. But application security is strong. Browser security is also strong. Google Chrome browser, you go to Mozilla Firefox or Safari, any browser, they have their own security parameters, which cannot be broken so easily. But still, how data is going out is a common question. A lecture that was defined, a session that was done in Netherlands in an e-classroom was projected without the involvement of anyone in Germany after 1 week, and the same session has been done there. Only thing was it was just displayed as a video. How was it possible? Nobody sent it from uh, this particular classroom to anywhere. The only thing is there was one fellow who did all the crime that is commonly done in movie industry, like piracy, what we call. Now I'm using my computer. Everyone are on their computers. Okay, even if it is a free session, I had last week, I had about 200 plus people on my computer. Now when I have to individually verify the security of everyone, it's not possible for me. So even now if you look at, I locked the room. Now I don't allow anyone to go get into this room. The security is active. No one else can participate into this now. No one else can get in. I have locked it. It's like a physical classroom locking. Now how is that happened? How the data has gone out? Simple. The biggest tool is, even on the phones today, you have an option called screen recorder. People started recording the screens directly. You observe in some of the theaters, people are caught with the button camera or a camera, body camera, where they start recording the entire film on the screen on the day 1 or day 2, and they upload it onto some websites. So technology wise, the application protection is strong. and browser protection is strong, it will be more better when we have anti-malware and antivirus on our computer. But when it comes to the back-end hacking, there are certain vulnerabilities and there are certain security precautions to be taken. Similarly, when I speak about the technology, it is being created for the good. It has been brought out for some good, but how many of us are using it for good? Technologies that are working on internet today, most of them are misused. So we'll look into all those things. So wide ranging branch of computer science concerned with building smart machines capable of performing tasks that are typically, that typically require human intelligence. Yes, today if we look at our phones, the phones what we carry today, no, this has a face recognition. Not only this, every phone, like you go with any iPhone, you go with a Vivo, Oppo, any brand to that matter, almost 95% of the brands have got facial recognition, in fingerprint scanner, everything. Now, I'll tell you a small incident that happened very recently, 6 months ago. One of my relative's son, who was hardly a 2 years old guy, this fellow has come to me in the afternoon when I was sleeping, and he said, "Uncle, I would like to use your phone for gaming." I said, "No, I have a security option there. You cannot actually open up the phone, and it will not allow." I don't know who told him exactly. After some time, he came to me and he again woke me up and he started speaking something. So I literally opened my eyes very widely and I was talking to him. And then he kept my phone in front of me. I did not identify that. I did not identify because I was sleepy. So it has recognized my eyes and face and it got unlocked. Till then, he was not able to unlock the phone. When I woke up after 1 hour, I see that this fellow was absolutely using my phone and a lot of WhatsApp messages he opened, a lot of security. And the other thing happened, I removed the face recognition. So the similar thing I kept there. So one of my family member wanted to use the phone very urgently. Now you know what they did? They just came. I mean, I know these are the things which we should not do. Why I'm telling all these things is technology misusage or going into wrong hands. These people, they wanted to use my phone. When I was sleeping, they just used my thumb, which I used for in fingerprint scanner. They could unlock the phone. Now what is the security on the phone? I don't understand. So technology is there, but we should understand. Now today my phone has no security. There is no point. See, even if I put it in the anti-lock lock mode, I know someone will open it somehow. So I have all protection on the phone and I took out the passcode. So this is something which we really do. And what is the problem? Now recently I saw an accident on in Hyderabad before lockdown. The most unfortunate thing is the fellow who fell on the road with major injuries. He was actually looking out for some help. We called 108. Everything was fine. But when we tried to contact their family, this fellow was unconscious after some time. Then we thought of contacting their family after setting up everything. The phone has a passcode. How do we get it? He is not in conscious state. In such emergencies, this security feature is a big problem. Even when if I myself fell somewhere, and if I want to use a call, if I want to do a call, if I forgot it for by God's sake, or if someone needs to help me on the road, if I go unconscious, there is no point. Technology, yes, it is good. Smart technology, smart machines, smart systems, good that we have robots during COVID, but how much safe are they? How many safe hands are handling them today is a question. To build a robot, there is a professor in Japan. He's on my Facebook actually. He's a man of about 75 plus years old, and he owns almost 13 plus own robots, which he does with his own artificial intelligence, and some of them are with the critical coding. They do every single activity out in his house. You don't find a human being. Most of the activities are done by his robots. So that is a kind of technology what we have. When we broadly look at artificial intelligence, these are the areas which we have been looking at. One is a machine learning, which again has a deep learning, supervised and unsupervised learning. NLP, natural language processing, so content extraction, classification, machine translation, question answering, text generation. See, this text generation is another technology. When you go to online, if you want to type something in Telugu, you are on an English platform. There is a portal for which in which you can type the content in English automatically that gets converted into Telugu or into your mother language, mother tongue, whichever it is. So it is something like that, right? So expert systems, and then vision, image recognition, and machine vision. We have face recognition, we have eye recognition, we have thumb recognition, we have palm recognition, we have the entire body scan recognition. You just go and stand there, and when we say that the machine vision and other aspects, many of the kids these days use Xbox. Xbox is something where you actually find people playing virtually. They stand at least 5 feet or 6 feet away from the system, or rather the television set with Xbox fixed in. No, they just keep moving their hands. They must be playing tennis. They must be playing cricket, whatnot. Whatever the game they want to play, they can do it. So that is something these people have been playing actually. So yes sir, Ravindra Reddy garu, I can share the PPT as well as the entire video. I'll share with all of the participants across the email. I'll definitely do that, sir. So the other aspect here, speech recognition, speech to text, text to speech. Today you have a Google Assistant, you have some tools where I read the text, it will record automatically. I have some apps in this where I record the voice, and it will convert the voice into different tones actually. It can convert it like a robot, it can convert it like a aged person, it can convert it into a female. So then planning, and then robotics is one of the crucial area. So robotics is something which is really making a tremendous change these days. So we see a lot of robots working in hospitals these days across India also, not only abroad. And if you all remember, there was a robot. I mean, still it is there, but it's not brought out into usage for some security reasons. We have a robot called Sophia, which was brought on to India. I mean, which was brought out in Hyderabad, and then it was displayed when Ivanka Trump was in Hyderabad, and then even it was tested for traffic management. But our people are so great that whenever they find something different, they just first go and instead of asking what is the technology, they first say, let me take a selfie. And this madness has really created a lot of disturbance to that robot, so post which it is never out actually. So one humble request: when you see something unique, when you visit a science center, when you visit some exhibit, or when you meet someone who is really a subject matter expert, first thing you need to share from them is knowledge. You grab the knowledge, you take the knowledge skills from them. At the end of the knowledge skill or anything, then you say either an autograph or a photograph. That could be more respectable. See, a couple of friends asked me, Karthik, I've been there to many programs, I was there with many celebrities, and then people ask me, why don't you take selfies? We see you there, but you never have a selfie. No, what is the point of taking a selfie with them? See, it's a satisfaction, I know that, but is that helping me anyhow? So I have selfies with a lot of people. I took photographs with people who are really worth of, with whom again I can speak, with whom I can again, from whom I can learn. There are selfies I took from students with whom I interacted. They made me to learn some new points, which added to my learning. So with such people, I took selfies. So knowledge sharing is important. Be with some people, be with such people where you can learn the things, right? So these are the major things which we'll find in the under the heading of artificial intelligence with our knowledge as of now. So when I look at certain examples in terms of artificial intelligence, smart assistants, we have Siri and Alexa today on our iPads, that speaker. When we just give a voice command, it takes it and says, yes, I'm playing this. Even my Amazon Fire Stick, the Amazon Fire Stick have an Alexa, just hold the mic and then speak what you want to say. Only thing is your voice recognition needs to be very clear. So yes sir, the recording will be shared to your mail, sir. We'll be sending it to you. So you can use the chat window to post any discussions or points here. So smart assistants we have, disease mapping and prediction tools. So today we are seeing all these tools that are being used across, and I'm not sure, I think it is in South Korea or Japan. Yesterday I saw on BBC, they have, no sorry, it's in UAE. They have come up with a different suit altogether, where they make a person to fit 5 feet away, and the kind of suit they wear, it completely scans from that view. A human being looks like a predator or an alien. The view looks like that, but it can identify if any bacteria or infection is there in the particular person's body. So we have such high-end tools which are already designed and developed and brought into usage. Even in India today, we see certain set of devices where they just put it on the forehead, and that gives the entire vitals about the person to some extent. It will identify whether this guy has a fever or not. Is this guy affected with any virus? So this is something, of course, what is happening is, until or unless some damage occurs, we are not coming up with all the options. Now the damage is big, so we have all the technology out on the roads. Manufacturing on drone robots, as I initially said, a team with me who are working in Tirupati, in my hometown, and one in Hyderabad, they have manufactured certain drones which can fly up to 5-6 kilometers, which can carry up to 45 kgs of weight, which are already being used by uh, you know uh, the forest department in Andhra Pradesh, which are already used at NARL, which is National Atmospheric Research Laboratory in Gadanki. Because I still remember, say, I'm a BTech passed out, and I had my final year. In fact, my final year project was in communications, and my core subject was IT. The reason why I was interested in a cross discipline, since then I was always interested to, I was keen about what is there in the other discipline which I can relate to IT. Just by knowing C, C++, Java, things are not going to work for me. So there is something in the other wing which I can look into and then come back. Yes, we did it. We came up with a live balloon for a radar, I mean, the tsunami identification, and we released it and it properly worked. I mean, it is still there actually. It is there. So a lot of things we have learned, and things are already there. Manufacturing and drone robots. Today you have robots across Kerala and other states where instead of nurse or a doctor, they are carrying the medicines to the patient and dropping them. So that is how the technology is growing today. Optimized personal healthcare treatment recommendations. You have certain devices in many of the corporate hospitals, if you look at, where you don't find any person, just go stand there. It will automatically scan the person. It will give the heartbeat rate, all the vitals. It will identify what sort of things you have in your body, what precautions to be taken. It's all on the tip, actually. You don't know from where the person is operating. Conversational bots for marketing and customer service. I should tell you, this conversational bots, the moment this technology has come into the market, today, if you go to most of the websites, whether it can be Zoom, whether it can be ACT, whether it can be any particular website, majority of the businesses, you cannot type the question what you want. The bot has certain predefined questions, and you should choose the options only from that. I was having a challenge in making a payment for Zoom. So because of which I thought like, okay, let me ask some questions related to that. But I was not having that option. It says you want to speak to whom? Contacts, sales or support? I said support. In support, what do you want? This. In support, again in that, what sort of question you have? I could not find the question what I have in that. Now it's a big research for me to relate my query to that available options and then speak. So finally it took 1 hour fight and then I could get back with that options. Right, conversational bots for marketing and customer service, especially in a lot of marketing areas today, you have these systems coming in. You'll get an automated message from a bot when you visit that company website, or even on Amazon you find this option these days. Robo advisors for stock trading, and then you see spam filters on emails. Those who are working on a research, this is one of the biggest area. Even my brother and couple of his friends did, and they have published over 5 papers, and they're still working on it. Spam filtering is one of the key area, which is again comes under artificial intelligence security also. So this is one of the most important area which can help the cyber security experts if we are interested to do a research on this. Social media monitoring tools for dangerous contents or false news. Today, many of the people have a doubt how people are identifying if we post something on the Facebook. If I post certain things related to the government, we all know about hashtag, right? So if you put that hashtag, the information goes to that relevant group or the tag to which all the people are connected. Similarly, if we post some anonymous or false news on the group with certain keywords, for example, if I put about some party name and if I post some information, already a predefined program is running on the backend over Facebook. If it identifies this particular word, it will give the information to a certain destination, I mean, to the actual person who is looking out for it. Now, if I post that Karthik is a party name and someone scolded with that on that party name, now I will get to know that who is scolding, and I can file a case or I can take a legal action. I can respond. This is how people identify us on even social media. Songs or TV shows recommendations from Spotify and Netflix. This is another example. Now, examples are good, but what are the prime qualities of this? So there are certain algorithms, as I said, machine learning and deep learning, these are there. So algorithm is something which we primarily develop for a certain purpose. Now in computer science, we study algorithm and flowchart. Algorithm is something where we prepare a step-by-step procedure to implement a code or to implement a process and to identify bugs in between if anything comes in, and which easily makes us to understand what is that we are working on. So once the algorithm is properly designed, okay, and that algorithm will help us to make the tool properly. It also helps us in making decisions. Okay, now there are a lot of algorithms uh, on real time basis. Just for example, if we look at a real time dashboard, how is a real time dashboard or Arogya Setu app updating the information? They have designed as such algorithms which takes the real inputs. For example, today, if we go to Aragya Setu app, it will ask us for a lot of information in a bot mode. Are you sick? Did you travel? Etc. So the algorithm has been designed in such a way to collect the information from the user in a real-time mode, where that algorithm collects that information and converts it to a text and displays it on the screen. That as per your information, this is the outcome. So that's something really unique, which never happened in the past few years. So they are unlike passive machines that are capable of only of mechanical or predetermined responses. We have certain set of old model robots. If you see, they're already pre-programmed. They're not artificial intelligent, or they're not coded in a way like what we are doing now. They've been fixed with certain set of programs. If you allow that code to execute, it will do only that. Even if you try to implement something, it will never work. But today, on a real time, you can change the code. On a real time, with a voice command, you can change the movements of the robots and drones. This is what we have come up with in these days when we compare with the olden days. So using sensors, digital data, remote inputs, they combine information from a variety of sources, analyze the material instantly, and act on insights derived from those data. This sensor system, when we get into a shopping mall, it has a sensor. It is not just a sensor which opens the door and closes. It also shares the information, how many are coming in and going out. So that's how the mall people or any shopping complex people will identify how many visitors they had in a day. That publishes a lot of digital data. Remote inputs, if this is basically from a satellite, or even you can say a drone is flying, capturing the information, parallelly sending it to the control room or the destination where it should go. So we have a lot of modes, lot of options where we can gather the information and send it around. So this is the other one. So they combine information from variety of different sources, analyze the material instantly, and act on the insights. Now, for example, a drone is flying. Recently, we have made a drone to fly in certain metropolitans. What is this drone doing? It will go to a certain height. It will come close to the people. If they don't still move, the command will be given from the ground level that now you blow a siren. Now it will start giving a siren. Now by then it will capture the images. Now whatever the images it has captured parallelly from this ground level device, they're already captured on a different tool. So parallelly, lot of information, the sensors that are identified, it will be, honestly, I should say, a drone is almost like a sniffer dog, which police people will use after proper training. Just tell it what to do, and it will go get it done, and it will identify what you are looking for. A drone is also similarly a similar thing where you just give the command, it will fly. You just need to take care of the operation part as well. But still, it will go fly, identify what you need, and then come back and it will give you that data. So this is as simple as it is. So artificial intelligence is already alerting the world and raising important questions for society, the economy, and the governance. With artificial intelligence, we have a lot of challenges. We have advantages. As I said, there are a lot of disadvantages. Employment, trust me, there are a lot of departments which got affected just because of the disruption of artificial intelligence into the employment world. Is it really adaptable? Yes, they are adaptable to learn and adapt. They make decisions. Today we have robots. You just pre-program something like what we do in a C++. If you get this, if you find this, do this coding. Or in case if you find some objection, turn back and come back. So you need not manually keep checking it. Once you write the program, leave it. It will make the decisions. It will do it. Now, in terms of transportation, in majority of the industries, there are robots which will have a pre-planned program or predefined program. It can lift up to 10 kgs. It know where to keep it back. So the program is designed as such. In case if some obstruction comes in between, it is also pre-programmed. Then stop there, don't move till you find a clearance. The sensor says now it is clear. Now it will start moving. So this is something. See, for example, semi-autonomous vehicles have tools that let drivers and vehicles know about upcoming congestions, potholes, highway constructions, or other possible traffic impediments. Even for our cars, a small sensor and a camera is fixed on the rear end and even in the front end these days, on the front side. When you're going in a reverse mode, if it finds some object right behind, so a little in a little advance, it will sensor saying like, okay, there is a problem, just stop. It will give a beep, 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 beep. Even when you're moving forward, yes, still there is a sensor that works like there is a pit hole or there is a manhole open or there is someone right in front of you, beep, beep, beep. So a lot of influence and a lot of technology options are there with us. Only thing is we just need to know how much we can properly use it. Vehicles can take advantage of experience of other vehicles on road. Just give me 1 minute. Girdhar Garu is asking cognitive computing. Robo have emotions, pains like that, self-awareness power. Sir, can you brief up your question once, or probably we can take it in a discussion. You can type the question again. What do you mean by like?
Okay.
So you can make it a little more clear. Like, are you asking about do they have pains or do they have self-awareness or something?
Robo is having emotions like that. I mean, what like that? I will tell you.
Right, sir. We'll have a discussion on this. We'll have a discussion on this. We'll certainly. So you can take the advantage of experience of other vehicles on the road without human involvement. We see the lot of cars across in UAE, Dubai, and even in USA. So the cars without drivers, but GPS self-driven cars are there, like where you don't find a driver, but the cars keep going once you give the voice command or the GPS location. But to what extent it is secured is again a big challenge. So now let us come into the core part of artificial intelligence. See, this is again whatever the information I could actually, whatever the knowledge I have. See, why driverless cars are not introduced on Indian roads? Why? Because driverless cars made based on AI. Sir Ravindra Reddy garu, so why driverless cars are not introduced on Indian roads? Number one, the kind of traffic management, the kind of systems what we are implementing in our country at this point of time are hardly suitable for our roads. I mean, the artificial intelligence based cars. Just trust me, try to get a Ferrari or a Lamborghini on Hyderabad road and see how much distance it can travel. May not be at a higher speed, at even at a normal mode in a safer stage, because of the improper roads, because of the mismanagement or indisciplined traffic, and the kind of security that the vehicle will have. As I said, when Sophia robot has been brought in Hyderabad, the kind of crowd that have come to see it and the kind of disturbance that it has got, it is a very big challenge for people to be to understand that they are not handling with a human being, they're handling with a high end device which is really replacing a human and protecting, but they cannot understand. So these are some of the factors. And why? Because driverless cars made based on AI, it is not like taking away the career or the opportunities of drivers. There are certain people who actually expect some privacy aspect, and also who would like to really be in such a world where you know they feel like, okay, I'm in one of the most top notch technology. Driverless cars are really safe, undoubtedly. They are especially made on AI, because artificial intelligence is the only technology where you have an option to put whatever the type of control you want on the system. You can modify even while it is on live. That's a kind of adaptability or a live option what we have in artificial intelligence. Now, why other countries are able to make, why we are not able to use these cars? That's again a disciplinary aspect. Today, if you start from Hyderabad, if you have an idea, for example, from Kukatpalli to Amirpet, if you just allow the traffic to go in a disciplined way, it should not take more than 15 minutes. But because of the high discipline we have, it is taking 1.5 hours or even 2 hours. And number two, driverless cars are made based on AI, but why we are not able to make in India? We are still developing. We still need to get time. I see a lot of students coming up with wonderful bikes, wonderful research activities in the colleges, but why all of them are not coming outside? Because the kind of mind they have put it in working on all those, but the support what they need is not available outside. But the same guy, if he's taking his project report and going to Silicon Valley, yes, he is accepted there. That's one of the important thing. So Shivangi says, is implementing AI in India can be reason for huge unemployment, like people not that much educated. See, unemployment is always there. Unemployment is not because people are not educated. To be very honest with you, there are some slides which will come up. Even the educated are getting affected by artificial intelligence these days. There are a lot of jobs which are actually taken out to some extent, not to some extent, to a level, because of artificial intelligence. They felt like there is no intervention of need of a human being there. Now, in order to get a proper support from Airtel earlier, we used to stay on the call, we used to chat with people, and we, until they reply for us, we wait for long hours. But today a bot can respond to you in a less than 10-15 minutes. If it cannot respond, that's when it will connect to a common man who sits in the office. So we'll discuss all of this. So AI basically comes under two categories. Number one is a narrow artificial intelligence. The second one is artificial general intelligence. There is a third one, which is very severe. I'll show the diagram. So narrow artificial intelligence is sometimes referred as a weak artificial intelligence. So operates with a limited context and is simulation of human intelligence. To be very honest, the stage one of artificial intelligence, what we are seeing today, comes under narrow artificial intelligence, where we still have challenges in it. But when we speak about AGI, it's called as a strong AGI. We see in movies like robots and all these things, where you get a robotic suit, you fly in the air, everything. That is a high-end intelligence where the operations are done even when the product is on a live movement. But earlier days, yes, artificial intelligence was there, but only concern was when it comes to the operation and also the simulation aspect, or controlling it in terms of coding. There were a lot of challenges. It was not so strong, but still it was existing. So AGI is a machine with general intelligence as much as like human being. It can apply the intelligence to solve any problem. As I said, the Star Trek data from Star Trek, Westworld, Next Generation, Transformers, all these movies. When we look at those robots and the machines that are designed, that comes under AGI, but they are not coming under narrow artificial intelligence. This is what I wanted to say. There are three things. We just saw artificial narrow intelligence, artificial general intelligence. The third one is artificial super intelligence. Today, what we are living in, because of which the jobs are enhanced. This one, execute specified focus tasks without ability to self-expand functionality. So because of this, there is no major problem. There are a lot of jobs because of this outperforms human in specific repetitive functions such as driving, medical diagnosis. Even though job market is having fluctuation, these positions are not taken out. In fact, they're supporting the employees to get information more easier. So this is something good on our part. But when we come to artificial general intelligence, when we think up to 2040, they are ready to perform broad tasks, reason, and improve capabilities. See, compete with humans in all endeavors, such as earning university degrees and convincing humans that it is a human. If we remember Robo movie part one, I'm talking about, not part two. Part one, even in part two is there. Robo movie, it has got a in second half of the movie where the robotic Rajnikant, who is in the second form of robot, so he takes away the heroine and he feels like he is also a human being. He can do everything whatever a human can do, and he can perform whatever the activities a human can perform. Imagine if we just get that day where instead of we taking a graduation from a university, all the robots sitting and collecting the graduation from another robot, and that really makes the people to go bonks. Now if that situation comes, is that really secured or insecure for human beings? To be very honest, in many of researchers, what I have seen, they say that it's a kind of insecurity, because we have seen in movies, and that's also practically possible. You just leave the program in such a way that it can actually understand the human intelligence and work. It is not it is not a program written by a human and left over. It is writing a program for itself. It can go into a self destruction mode. It can go into a different state of mind where it can even compete with humans and prove that it is more better than a human being. That's a final stage. We see artificial super intelligence outperforms humans, helping to achieve societal objectives or threatening human race. This is what I was telling. If this situation comes, the entire humanity will get into a risk. So what I'm trying to say here is, it is good. We have invented something. We are finding out something, but let us limit it to there itself. Let us not go beyond that. People might argue, no, no, it's not correct. Research is unlimited. Technology is unlimited. We should speak. We should work more. Blah 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 blah. Yes, I understand. But are we secured? Today, how many, see, we have seen in movies, it's just a matter of a small chip or a small line of code. It's a small code. So what is happening? See, apart from artificial intelligence, let me speak in a general language. I can write a macro which can actually destroy the entire computer with just 5 or 6 lines of macro. If I execute that macro, yes, done. My entire computer is gone. I can run the same macro on many computers. So technology is good. You're learning programming. You are trying to improve something and getting into advancement, and you're trying to prove that we are very far ahead on the technology end. But today, when we look at Corona, is the technology helpful anywhere? Today, industries, how many industries are really using this technology? For example, if I take the Vizag incident yesterday, I had a discussion with one of the person. When I speak as a normal layman about that industry, the incident has happened, it's fine. But when I have to speak as a technology person, now when an industry is running, there are a lot of automated machines which can identify and warn the industry management that this is a kind of threat that is going to come up before the lockdown, or before they shut down, or before they freeze some chemical, or before they freeze some any other aspect, I mean any other chemical liquids or something, even in general. No, it can actually identify and say probably this is a kind of problem that might come up if it is kept at this so and so stage. So when we are manufacturing a biscuit packet or a product, when we are able to set an expiry date for it, why are we not using all this technology in huge industries which can predict the upcoming threat and can warn the people? So we are using the technology just for our comfort. We are loving to see drones, we are loving to see robots, we are loving to see a lot of Alexa, Siri, etc., etc. But in general human life at big industries, are we really using this? Identity, if a car is going back, we can identify that something is on the back with a sensor. But if I am moving out, I should have a technology in my body where I can feel that okay, in the next 5 kilometers this kind of traffic, gps is showing that GPS is showing that. But there are certain research done on humans where they have injected some chips, especially in USA. I heard of this. And when they are walking, they can identify where is what is the next upcoming threat or upcoming traffic. They don't rely on any other devices. Let us work on technology, let us improve the technology undoubtedly, but there is a end for it in a different way. Let us not create some technology where it dominates a human being and comes over the head of a human being and tries to kill us. So this is what happening in terms of cybersecurity. People are learning cybersecurity courses just because they want to make money in a wrong way. You are learning the technology for some betterment. Better do it. We are using devices. Last week we had a session on cybercrime, and we have this case even on. We found it on web also. The youngsters are using smartphones, smart devices, sending voice commands to different groups. Just do this, you'll do this, affecting them psychologically. They're making their own groups, rooms, and in that rooms, what they are doing, they don't know, but they're sending some wrong message outside. Is technology really in a safe hand? Tomorrow, if today I see a lot of schools implementing robotics, artificial intelligence, IoT labs, everything are there good, undoubtedly. Last year in Regional Science Center Tirupati, I saw small kids like from 6th 7th standard coming up with their own IoT kits, robotic tools, where they demonstrated few things. That was wonderful. I was a part of that program as one of the guests. But when I really thought of it in a bigger sense, that's when a fear has started in the mind. Are they really going to use it in a better way? The robot what you design today, if it is helping you in a medical aspect, if it is helping you in an emergency, that's fine. But this, if you get to know, or if the robot is made to understand that I can go to an ATM, take out the money without anyone's knowledge, that's where the risk starts. So we should know where our programming should end. We should know where the coding should end. We should know what sort of technology should be given a break. We should not get into the stage of this artificial super intelligence. Already we are very much into artificial general intelligence apart from AI. So I think let us it's better to put ourselves into this, because there are a lot of jobs at risk. I'll show you what are they. So these are the some of the research areas. Many of my friends are currently doing research in NLP, robotics, and machine learning. Now IoT is one of the area where I'm working on Microsoft Azure at this point of time, writing my own programs. I'm not a research fellow, I'm not doing any big kind of research or publications, but I keep studying, I keep collecting a lot of journals, I keep getting articles, I keep studying a lot of information. Computer vision is another one. Computer vision, yes, the virtual reality is the biggest technology these days, but virtual reality is really helping in few areas but not in every time. There was an incident in one of the neighboring countries. A fellow learnt a car in terms of virtual reality mode, sitting in front of a simulator, thinking that this is what it will happen, this is how the car should be driven, brake, clutch, etc., blah blah blah. Wonderful, sir. You are sitting in a room, a simulator, where you could drive the car in a virtual way and you could understand how you should drive on the road. But is that simulator really showing hell of traffic like what we see in metropolitans? Is that simulator making the rider to understand that you will find this kind of senseless fellows on the road who might come and hit? It is not going to. It is actually helping you to drive at what speed, what you should do when a speed breaker comes in. When we speak about a technology, as I said in the beginning, good and bad, it's like a coin. one side of the technology is good, the other side of the technology is bad. So we should understand which should be used and which should not be used. Okay, Internet of Things is one of the another leading area which can be focused, in fact. Okay, virtual reality and augmented reality, yes, we'll discuss about it. And AI versus cognitive computing, just give me 1 minute. Yes sir, we'll discuss about it, and in case if I'm not sure of anything, I'll get back in 24 hours with the answers for all those. I'm not promising that I'll know everything, but I'm also not promising that I'll not get back. I'll try to explain. If not, I'll get a better explanation on this and I'll give you the solutions. So yes, next one is artificial intelligence as AIoT. Just now I was telling AIoT, artificial intelligence and IoT together. This is already there in terms of smart retailing, drone traffic monitoring, fleet management, autonomous vehicles, autonomous delivery robots. See, again, when we look at all these technologies, drone traffic monitoring, today we have a lot of tools that are using in terms of monitoring people at from certain heights. But again, are we really safe in all these things? What sort of research are we doing in this? What sort of coding is involved? What sort of tools? What sort of analytics are there? With, if you're good with Microsoft Azure in terms of IoT, there are a lot of analytics that can be done with Microsoft Azure. You can day to day monitor the activities in terms of traffic. You can monitor about the vehicle movements. You can monitor about the deliveries that are done by robots in different locations. So all these advantages are there with AIoT. So AI plus IoT, which is smart IoT, again we can say. So I'll share this PPT and all the information. I'll share the video. And yes, when it comes to healthcare, this is the data which I collected from Accenture analysis team. So one of my friend works in Accenture. So deep learning to diagnose disease, machine learning and radiology, automating administrative tasks, reducing operational cost. So these are some of the aspects. Apart from this, there are a lot of other aspects which a robot is able to do today. They are to the extent of doing surgeries. But is our coding really safe? Did we stop it only till doing surgeries, or is it manipulating any surgery is a question. So allowing a robot to do a surgery, if the patient gets to know that the doctor is not doing a surgery here, a robot is going to do a surgery, trust me, what would be if he is a heart patient? He will definitely go for bonks. So acquisition of AI startups are rapidly increasing, while the health market AI is set to register an explosive CAGR of 40%. Definitely it is going to increase. We have a lot of involvement. Today, if you look at some of the startups, even where I interacted as an HR, they say that, sir, we don't have any major HR requirements because majority of the HR activities are done by our bot system. So many bots are doing this, so we don't need people. That's again a challenge. So in terms of healthcare, robotic assisted surgery, that's what I said. I just said about virtual nursing assistants, administrative workflow, fraud detection. See, in this, artificial intelligence and machine learning can help in the healthcare by identifying suspect or charges of false claims before the payments are made. So it comes in terms of insurance. Nowadays, even for chartered accountants, even in this insurance field, they started using this automated system. They publish the information, whatever the information given by the customer. Usually they used to cross check with the hospital, manually collect the data and everything. Now they started virtually gathering the information, publish it in one format, and then it will automatically identify whether is there any false information, and it will take out the unwanted, and it says this can be paid to the patient. This is all a fake or false information. And that is the reason why a lot of insurances are paid very easily. And connected machines, clinical trial assistance. This is actually done today in London, and majority of the hospitals, they're doing the clinical trials on this using this. And then here, fast and accurate diagnostics, virtual presence, cost reduction. They say that cost reduction is there, but still a lot of cost is involved also. Some of the dangers with artificial intelligence. Invasion of piracy. This is going to improve like anything. So this is one of the threat. And the autonomous weapon, killer robots I was talking about. Just imagine a robot which is programmed for safety and security of the public. If it just gets programmed virtually, or if it gets turned around, and then if it starts working anti to the human beings, then that's where we are. Loss of human jobs is the biggest threat today. HR industry, marketing industry, insurance sector, there are different sectors where these artificial intelligence technology is really, it has really brought out such a big difference that you're not able to understand what is happening. Today, if you look at the HR people, many of the HR people are not there in the companies even before lockdown. just because there is an automated system that has come up where they don't need the help of the HR to manually sit and do the recruitment or to align the employment engagement or to do certain employment activities. They just write the program ready. Whoever are there, out of the 10, 4 people are kept now, 4 or 5 maximum. These 5 will actually give a pre-formatted system or an Excel sheet, and that will calculate actually according to the system, and it will answer the queries also. And that is what we are doing. We are seeing today in terms of customer service on websites. It is not a human who is answering. It is a predefined program, which is actually a bot. Artificial intelligence terrorism, we don't have much information about it, but yes, it is already in a growing level. We don't know how they actually come up with the terrorist activities on this. And AI bias is the other one. These are some of the top software companies apart from the regular companies what we see. Don't say that we don't have are there no companies which are hiring or for AI. These are the companies which are paying at a higher end today for those people who are very good with artificial intelligence technology. I'll show how much they are paying also. Google, Apple, Facebook, Microsoft. Microsoft has come up with a concept called Playbook for employee engagement. Just it gives the facility. This Playbook helps the employees to get themselves engaged with a lot of activities. So this is again a kind of bot system where they included some of the gaming and other relaxation aspects, and that is really helping. So Microsoft is the first one to come up with a Playbook concept online, which is a part of a lot of HR roles, HR activities. Security, these are the software. In terms of security for artificial intelligence, Cisco stand in first place. Sophos is another company. Trend Micro, Palo Alto Networks, McAfee. These are the two things we properly, majorly know: Cisco and McAfee. McAfee is again good with in terms of artificial, antivirus, in terms of malware protection, all these things. But these are the some of the major companies who are really working on artificial intelligence today. Impact on the global industries, yes, these are the industries which have a global impact in terms of retail, finance, healthcare, media and entertainment, transportation. Like someone was asking us, why can't India have a driverless car, or why can't we find such solution in India? Already we are into it. Who knows, Ola might convert to a driverless car, Uber might convert to a driverless car. Many of the industries, they have taken out the laborers or the employees, just because at one shot a small robot or an equipment is able to move a bundle 1 ton or 2 tons of load, for which they used to have at least 20, 30 or 50 employees, or labor rather I should say. So it is really hitting the world in terms of employment also. When you look at the finance sector, the chat support teams are going down just because they have a bot system. Why do someone needs to speak to a human? Transportation, media and entertainment, the same problem. Human resources, they are already affected. HR people, now as an HR I can say even my job is into a stake. I don't know when will I go out. And they say that there is no need, we have the systems ready. Of course I'm not be able to take it out, but the entry level and the middle level people are already into a problem from this. So what are the top 10 apps or software which you can use in terms of learning machine learning? These are something I can share this PPT. I can say these are some of the best tools which you can use to learn and implement also, right? And yes, this is the statistics I wanted to show. Autonomous research estimates that 1.2 million people working in banking and lending will be replaced by artificial intelligence software by 2030. It's already there. Customer service representatives, when you look at it, the job market is down for them. Loan officers, everything is on this. What do you call payment? Just now I was paying for my LIC. I was paying for my LIC. So LIC again, I used to go through online, or even I used to go to a person to pay or go to that office. Now it's all over digital. It took hardly 1.5 minutes to pay my entire LIC premium. So automation is everywhere, but to what extent automation is going to safeguard the jobs? Yes, we can still live in it only when we also know how to get into that automated world by as a programmer. We should learn programming, or we should learn that technology where we know at least how to use that technology. If you don't know how to use a bot system being a customer service representative, there is no point. Again, that will be a big problem. And now how AI could change the job market. This is a status here from 2017 to 2037 industry. See, health, everything, education, everything was on the positive side, 10, 20, 30% growth. Now when you look at this, the other side, construction, wholesale, even in construction, as a civil engineer today, I should say, Lot of technologies have come in the market. Lot of robotic technologies have come in the technology industries. A concrete machine is available, a concrete mixture, where you don't need people to dump everything. It will automatically collect every concrete sand and everything water. It know at what proportionate it should mix the water. They'll have a pre-program. It will mix and it will throw the concrete out. Now how many people we need to in that particular area are unemployed now? Similarly, to take at least 100 200 bricks at one shot to a third or fourth or fifth floor, now what sort of technology we need, and or how many labors we need? Imagine how, if there is no technology, how many years it will take to construct a Burj Khalifa or any such huge tower. Or if you want to construct a building like Lodha with 45 towers, 40 floors, 45 floors, or even something beyond that, like what we see in Bangalore, how many years it will take to construct? How people are able to construct major roads, buildings, flyovers, just with very few human help and with a lot of machinery. All these things are getting changed just because automation is in place. Now next one, when I look at this wonderful like information, is robo trend will come in health assistance and services soon. Yes sir, robo trend is already there today. Just because of corona, already the robots have been introduced in Orissa, Kerala, Delhi and Maharashtra. But unfortunate thing is we don't have much of robo services over there. But it is dependent. Yes, they are already working on it. AIMS have got 2 robots it seems yesterday, so they are also working on it. But again, as I say, it's again the discipline of the public. When someone says do not cross beyond this line and you just stand there, we'll take your information, still we try to go ahead. If you find a robo coming to you, if you're on a bed, imagine, let me just ask you, if I'm a patient, a heart patient with a high level heart rate, and if I need to undergo by getting a stunt done, at the last moment the doctor will come and say, sir, due to some reason I'm going out, my robot will put the stunt for you. Now, trust me, that moment, no need of stunt, my heart will automatically stop. If a nurse, if in case of a nurse, if a robot is coming and giving an injection, are we really ready to face that? We don't know how the injection will be given. We don't know how much medicine will be injected. But we need to get prepared for all of this. Tomorrow, see, today, if we really had such a technology, very advanced technology, then there was no chance of this Vizag blast. I mean, the leakage of the gas over there. Similarly, during Corona time, there's a lot of technology that we can use. How South Korea could do this? How South Korea could come out of all these challenges? It is just because they use whatever the latest trends and technology they have, and they're safe from Corona. Just because they used the maximum robotic technology, they used non-human interference technology, where to human connect is not there, but still they could treat people, they could supply the medicine, they could supply the injection, they could treat, do the surgeries, and today everyone are safe, sir. It's all again how we look at the technology, and are we really going to use it in a safer hand, or is it on a very risky hand? Transportation and storage, yes. Manufacturing, as we already discussed. Public administration and defense. Let me tell you that the Indian army, our defense, they have got mini bots which hardly looks at the size of our fist or something, more than that a little bit. This bot or these bots are across in many countries, where a human will not go into that particular area. For example, if it is a critical war zone, this bot has the ability to go undercover like a small insect, and it can go and identify or capture the images, and it can come back. Now imagine there are 100 people, 100 enemies who are standing right at the border, and we would like to know how many additionally are there, and we cannot identify anyone crossing these 100 people. So is it easy to cross this 100? No. That's when these small bots, I mean, the small robotic things that have come up. There is a small bug like this much of size. It was already used in one of the country's army. So it just peeps into the underground, and it can clear its own mud, sand, water, whatever you have. It will capture and it will come back. It is water resistant, mud resistant. It's very hard that it cannot even be broken by a stone. Already the technologies have come. There are a lot of research publications. I'll try to help all of you with these research publications on this. So what are the top 10 jobs available involving AI skills? You can be a machine learning engineer. Again, a big challenge is most of the freshers are not able to get these jobs. Most of the freshers are not able to get into these jobs. The reason is We are just passing out of the colleges just with a C, C++, or a Java.NET knowledge. If we have any machine learning or a deep learning or any of these courses as a data science from the second or third year of our graduation, so that's when you'll really see companies coming to you saying that you have such people with these knowledge, we'll deploy them, we will hire them. Today if you look at a data scientist who can work on a R, who can work on Python, who can work on big data, what sort of knowledge he or should I mean a particular person should have, and how many students are able to take it in a year. If I'm not really wrong, from only from our Telugu states, there are somewhere close to 10 lakh students or 12 lakh students passing out of which 2 to 4% are getting jobs. Where are the other people sitting? Even to respect to any state, with the whole population of passing out, maximum is 5% are getting into the job market, and these 5% include again that job market of C, C++, Java, or any multimedia. Who are all getting into advanced technology is very less. Why? Because our people are not trained in such a way, our people are not experienced in such a way where a company is not in a position to take a risk of hiring us and then giving them a job and let them sit on a real time work where they are investing crores of amount on that big project. Today if I have to think like a company, I have a couple of projects works related to data analysis, I mean like big data. We have certain data scientist activities, but as a data scientist I'm looking at people who are minimum with 5 to 8 years of experience. If I have to hire a fresher, I'm a fellow as a HR, I see at both soft skills and hard skills. Keep the soft skills away for some time. Hard skills, 90% of the 90% of the resumes say what are the technologies you know: C, C++, Java, HTML, PHP, Microsoft Windows 7, 10, Microsoft Office 2013, 2016. These are the areas. Okay, that's fine. Well, let us leave it. What sort of project have you done? 60% of the students buy the project from outside. I'm sorry to say this. Now, rest of the 40%, they take some project. Out of the 40, again, 20% or 25% are doing the same project in Java, .NET, C, C++. I'm not saying that they're degraded. Bulk of huge programming, security programming in cyber analysis can be done. Cyber forensic programming can be done in C, C++. But are we really learning all those things, or are we just trying to learn the fundamentals of OOPS or Java and then coming out? What is our resume talking about? Resume is a piece of paper. That paper should not fly here and there. Then how will the weight be there? The only weight that you can add on the paper which will not fly anywhere is that your skill. Put some skill on the paper. When you are in the third year, if you don't have the all these courses in your curriculum, friends, or your students doesn't have this, make them to get connected with an industry expert or an outside expert who can help them to learn this, pay, learn, do an internship in it, and then come back. Trust me, if it is done, by the time they are about to get into final year, second semester, if you publish this information on your college portals that you have so and so students who completed internship in deep learning, machine learning, as a computer vision engineer, as a developer consultant, as a R programmer or a Python programmer, companies will automatically come to your campus and say, give me this fellow, I'll pay you this much of salary for this guy. This is very much possible, sir. There is a big gap, technology gap. It's not a communication gap, it's a technology gap. Many people speak to me on a daily basis because I conduct 4, 5, 6. Today, this is my 5th webinar. This is my 5th session, after which I have another 2 sessions till 11 o'clock. So I'm day by day answering the people. I'm day by day instructing the people. I'm day by day connecting them to the experts. Even now, I'm telling you, I'm not a big expert in AI. Let me be very honest. Whatever the knowledge I have, I'm sharing. But again, I have people with whom I can connect you and your students to get a big help. But only problem here is people are saying like, I want everything for free, sir. I'm a cyber forensic expert and I've learned the courses, and the money I have spent on learning these courses is somewhere close to 1.2 lakhs, which is not easy. I have learned certain courses, even on Udemy. I've completed 5 courses. I've completed 2 certifications recently. Why is that I'm spending money on it? There are 2 things. When I pay the money and when I get into a professional network for learning, that network helps me to get connected with the rest of the world. with a professional world where people will get to know what you learned, what you exhibited. So that's again up to them, whoever wants to pay and who don't. But I'm ready to help some of the colleges or students who can really learn this by themselves or by going to some institutes or through online rather, and pay, learn, do a project, don't buy a project. You will be able to have a lot of things. See, 75% of postings containing AI or machine learning. All these things, when you look at this data, it is very, very, very vast. Look at this percentage and look at this. I mean, it's in a increasing to decreasing order, like in a reverse order, like starting as a machine learning engineer, 75% of the postings containing AI or machine learning. You just say that you are very good in developing some algorithms. You're taken your hike. If you're already there as an employee, you're upgrading yourself, then you have a big hike in salaries. Today the companies are really searching for experts, right? So this is something I really wanted to share. But overall, I would like to say machine learning or deep learning and then IoT are the three common areas. In fact, data analytics and big data comes under all these three. So we have a lot of career scope, we have a lot of career options in terms of these three, where you have to learn the basics of algorithm writing, I mean coding and algorithms. And what all you need to do is get certified at least in one course properly. So we can develop. See, there are a lot of students who have really come up with who came back in the past from various colleges with wonderful exhibits. Did it by themselves. So I'm not sure what happened to all of them. If they are really there, let the colleges project them in a different way, and the companies are ready to hire those students with a high package. If they have already done it, it's really good. Now we have a question here. So difference between virtual reality and augmented reality. Virtual reality is something which I already spoke about, like a where you get a VR box kind of, and you get a simulation kind of method where you really feel I can say the reality of the object moving in front of you, like in driving schools, or you just wear it and keep the mobile, okay, into that. I mean, you get the virtual reality boxes and have the phone in the hand. You see as if the fighting is happening. Of course, these type of games are really affecting people. But what is the disadvantage with virtual reality? Vision is getting affected a lot of times if you are using such box for very closer to your eyes. And virtual reality applications are a lot of there. Even today recruitments are happening with virtual reality. But when I come to augmented reality, augmented reality is something beyond virtual reality. This is a technology where on this particular screen, I can bring a dinosaur, I can bring a skeleton, or I can put an object where it keeps dancing along with my cursor, or it goes along as per my command. When I stop and ask that to answer this question, it will go fetch the answer and post that link there. I mean, like, augmented reality is beyond that virtual reality where you put some real-time object on your screen. Put a real-time object. If you really wanted to take a photograph with a lion or a dinosaur or a chimpu, which is directly not possible, you take a photograph, use these augmented reality apps, get that animal what you would like to have, just put the hand over it and take a photograph. It is not like a regular one, but it is something made where you can have a three-direction mode. It can be moved in a 3D mode, and it is very, very recent technology that has come up in the market. Augmented reality, it is being majorly used in medical industry these days. Augmented reality is used in medical industry apart from virtual reality. So this is what we have found in actually. And we have one more question here. Cognitive computing, sir, I really need to check that, Giridhar garu, and I'll get back on this, because I really don't want to give you an answer which I'm not sure about. So anyone would like to discuss or share some inputs, I invite them to unmute themselves and then speak. Girdhar sir, you have anything to speak about?
Wonderful session, sir. Very
Sir,
informative.
thank you, sir. Anything you want to give any inputs,
Hello,
you
good
can
evening.
please. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hello, I'm hearing.
Yes, sir. You are audible.
Hello.
Yes, sir. You're audible, sir. You're audible. Yeah, you're audible. Girdhar, you can speak, sir.
Yeah, good evening. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please, please.
Yes. Yeah, actually, my question is: Robo having problem-solving, decision-making, and knowledge-added services. I mean, you were telling something like health assistance is going to happen in future. Robo totally, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
But my question is: the cognitive capacity means having knowledge itself, adding decision-making capacity and problem-solving capacity. I think Robo is having those capacities. I just want to know.
Yes, sir. That's what I said. This generation robots have already come up with the self-intelligence mode actually. So I can say in one way it is called a self-assassination for them. So what these robots are doing in, it's not a programmed robot. As I said, the programmed robot, pre-programmed robot is totally different. But there are certain robots which have been designed in such a way that it can make a decision by itself, where it can identify what sort of decision to be taken in such a mode. Like for example, I can probably share a link with you about a person who has these robots already, which are manufactured in Japan, as I initially discussed. So what these robots are doing, in case if someone is trying to argue with them, or if someone is trying to put something in negative to that, that actually started taking the things, because it cannot accept that the commands which are already built in and the kind of decisions it is going to make. Okay, this is actually what it is trying to do. It will take its own decision and it will react automatically on it. For example, in terms of cars also, when we see, if it is a driverless car in the UAE and USA, at one particular point of time, these cars had a problem, like they get stuck at one place and they don't know what to do unless someone gives a command from the control room. But today there are cars in UAE and Dubai which can automatically make a decision by identifying the traffic and other incidents, and they can divert the routes and they can go the other way around.
Okay.
It's already there, sir.
Okay, good.
So I can share some more journals and information, because one of our friend is asking some deep learning plus AI projects. I'll definitely mail all of you about all this information by today and tomorrow. I'll share this video, PPT, and some journal information. I'll also try to help in terms of career opportunities for your students. But only thing is, these takes times to learn and practice. If we are really able to do all these things in the next 3 to 6 months down the line, yes, absolutely, every student has an option. And even in terms of security, yes, we have a lot of things to share. uh, One request here is, whoever have actually joined today for this particular session, with all of you, for the next 1 week I'll keep sharing a lot of information on this AI and deep learning. I'll try to help as much as possible. Okay.
So one more personal question, sir.
Yes, sir.
HR, I mean, MBA HM, one of my friends is there.
Okay.
I want to know future, I mean, placements are happening like a virtual online. Na? So how it is going to happen?
Sir, again, this virtual placements are happening as of now, because if you look at KL University, today they started doing the recruitments over Skype and Zoom now. That's a one mode. But second thing is, there are companies. There is a company for whom I applied as a chief HR director, one of the chief HR directors, and my entire interview happened on a bot system. There was no human intervention. The entire interview happened on a bot system. And when I called the HR person who initially contacted me scheduling the interview, he said, like, sir, we are only 3 people. Earlier we used to be around 47 people, and now all these 3 are working with the bot system. So you can understand what is our HR status today. So HR are really going to get affected. But one thing is sure, these HR people, if they know at least how to use that applications properly, what sort of information to be given, what sort of communication should be done with that bot system, etc., with the technology team, to some extent we are safe. But still the threat of moving out is always there. Virtual recruitments are going to start, sir. Virtual recruitments are already in place. Virtual recruitments are happening.
Thank you for wonderful session, sir. Nice information.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. And everyone will get a certificate from my end. That is a promise done by tomorrow morning, or even earlier by night itself. All of you will be receiving a e-certificate on the email. So that will be done from my end.
Plan one student also, sir, Sunday.
Yes, sir. For students, we can plan. We can plan that, sir. Probably in the next week. In the next week, we can do that, sir.
Very good information. Thank you.
And very soon, I'll plan a deep learning session with the practical information. We'll go in deep into deep learning, We'll go in deep into deep learning, and let us see what possibilities of research we can explore in it. I'll also try to invite a couple of experts with me who can speak along with me in this particular group with the teams. But thank you very much. You respected us by, even though 199 is a big or small amount, I don't know, but you respected me by paying that amount, and thanks for that. It's not that I'm collecting huge amount, but when you pay something and learn, that kind of responsibility and what we get is different rather when we get something in free. That's what I believe. I'm not going to do every session for paid. If you are there for free, I'll also keep you posting on that. But the difference I saw in the group, 150 people not responding when I said paid, the same 150 people fill the registration form in span of 4 hours, and I have spent time to send that. Last week it was 243 people for a free session. I had to send certificates for 243 people. So it's fine, we'll still do a lot more sessions. We'll definitely take it. Thank you very much.
But AICT offering free, that's why
I know,
all
sir.
of
I know, sir. I know. That's fine. I'm not stopping it. If they're getting it for free, that's really good. I'm not saying that even free is bad. Everything is good. If you are able to take it, it's fine. If not, it's fine. Still, no worries. Right. Thank you very much for all of you. Thanks for being a part of this. So signing off, and I'll send you all your certificates and the PPTs and a YouTube link of this video also.
happy night, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye bye.